So you're always trying to chase that, tap on the back. You're always trying to chase that I'm proud of you. You're always trying to chase the next level. And, it's to no avail because you can't control the aspect which they're seeing your success from.
Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Brown Fox podcast, which has been really great having a couple of guests on. And today we have another guest. He is he's a busy man, and it's been tricky getting to lock down a time with him, but that's because he's running a budding personal training business here in Brisbane, Inner Power Coaching, and the man himself is here, Blake Randall.
Thanks for having me, Joseph. I'm very well, mate.
So good to have you here.
Like I said to you before, it's so good to see you fill in this gap within Brisbane when it comes to business podcasts. So it's a privilege to be on here. I'm excited.
It's a privilege for me to have you in front.
I'm so excited.
Getting ready to dive into some of your story.
Yeah.
But first, we're gonna hit up the dad joke of the day.
All right, hit me with it.
All right, so here's a joke that I've just pulled up. It's not really a question, it's just a statement.
Okay.
I was fired from the keyboard factory yesterday.
Okay.
They told me I wasn't putting in enough shifts. What do you reckon?
I sort of get it, but I sort of don't.
Like keyboard factory and the shifts, he wasn't putting enough shifts on the keyboard.
Ah.
Like a keyboard factory.
Got him. Yeah, got him. Yeah.
It got me
I'm
too.
there. Yeah.
Oh, good. Now we're all loosened up.
Yeah.
I'm keen to hop straight into this. Hey.
Yeah.
So, like I said, introduced you as the founder of Inner Power Coaching here in Brisbane, which is doing quite well. Now, do you think you could tell me a little bit about your journey, your story in getting to the point where you are now?
Yeah. I guess, fitness has always been a part of my life in some respects. So probably when I was around 4 or 5 years old, that's when mum and dads were sort of trialing me at different sports and, tried Auskick, tried AFL. I think I even did a bit of tennis there.
Same.
But I was always a tall, lanky guy. And I think I was like that for a while there. So probably when I was 5 years old, that's when I started in basketball. And all the way up until probably like grade 8 or so, I was pretty good for the simple fact that I was taller than everyone else. I probably hit puberty in like grade 5 or something like that. So I was like, right up with everyone. Well, I'm looking down at everyone, I should say.
Nice.
And then probably, around that grade 8 stage was when everyone else started to catch up with me. And so I was no longer the tall, lanky guy with no skill. I was the lanky guy with no skill. So, so essentially from there, like at the stage I was at, I was at club teams and stuff. And then we progressed to around like 14, 15. That's when I started try out for like representative basketball for Logan and Div 1 and stuff like that. And, I just made the cut for those teams, like literally just skimmed in. I was like, thank God I'm actually good at, still good at what I was used to being good at, right? But then around that time, I remember getting an email, and that email was like, we've had to merge 2 teams together. And there was a list of the names, and my name wasn't on there. And it was at this stage where I was like, all right, well, what does this mean? Because I was like 15, 16 or so.
Yeah.
And so for me then, I sort of had to make a decision, like, do I continue to do this? Because, at that age, you're prone to any sort of setback. You're like, this could be the end. You know what I mean? You make a big deal of any small setback, right?
So
at least I did. So what I decided to do, like any, someone who's curious about anything, they'll go to Dr. Google. And I think I just Googled, how to become a better basketball player. And, if you type in how to become a better anything, there'll be like 200 million results.
Yeah.
And so I went on to the first or maybe second one. I was like a WikiHow or something like that. Didn't end up reading it, but there was a banner, right? There was a banner, banner ads, Google banner ads. There was a banner there for this trainer. His name was Taylor Allen. So he's from Canada.
Okay.
And so from here, I clicked on the banner, and it was a membership site to go into like his portal. He had like an online portal about how to become a better basketball player. So at the time, I was probably 16, making about a couple $100 at KFC. It was $100 a week for this membership site. So I put $100 to there. I ate from 50 and then had $50 worth of fuel. So that was my weekly budget there. And what that caused me to do was, play basketball literally every morning before school because I had a structure of exactly what I needed to do.
Yeah.
All right. Instead of, I guess, grabbing the ball and just shooting it or whatever. I had an exact structure of 90-minute workouts, exactly what I need to do.
Awesome.
So I did that. And then from there, we then progressed, represented Queensland, and then, went into coaching as well, coaching under 12s, 14s, 18s. And then as soon as I graduated high school was when I started a basketball academy. And this was sort of where it was in Macravac, literally just down the road.
Wow.
And this is sort of where a turning point was because I remember in grade 12, I was like, okay, I sat down literally with a careers advisor and he was like, all right, given this test, this is what you'd be best suited for. It's like either a Cert 3 in FTV, like film and television, or a Cert 3 in fitness. And I was like, I'll probably go the fitness route. Yeah, I'll probably go that one for now. And so I was doing that, but I was at the basketball academy and probably within about 4 months of doing it was when it really started dawning on me because everyone then, we all wanted to try and get overseas to play college.
Yeah.
Whether it be D1, D2, D3 or junior college, whatever. We all wanted to get over because you want to come back. You want to come back to Logan or whatever suburb and be like, yeah. You walk into the stadium, you're like, yeah, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like fully ego, like everything like that. And so, but it was 5 days a week training, 2 hours a day, weights, and then studying in the afternoon. And so it's like literally 15 hours a week, roughly, of basketball training, including games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just had enough. Legit, I hit a roadblock, and I just was like, well, I don't enjoy it anymore. I was always sore. I was always tired. And I was working at KFC at the same time, so I'd finish at like midnight to get back up at 6. You know what I mean? I'm just wrecked.
Yep.
And so from there, that's when I was like, all right, what am I going to do? Because, I've had this dream since I was like 14, 15 to go overseas. And I probably got about 3 or 4 offers from like really low level schools. But I didn't have that desire anymore.
Yeah.
So that was when I decided to leave the academy and stop all the diploma and stuff like that. And just go full into what I was doing with then. Probably around end of 2015. So I started my first personal training company called Iron Sharpens Iron Personal Training.
That's what came up when I first got the phone call from you. It was still registered.
So there's in a nutshell what the last sort of few years has looked like.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So so we're going to come back to where it's come from since Iron Sharpened Iron.
Yeah.
But you mentioned you worked at KFC, right? And I recall it might have been when we were live streaming one of our first podcasts. You left me a comment and you said that one of the biggest business lessons you've had came from what you dubbed the KFC drive-thru school of business.
That's it.
What was that about?
So in drive-thru at KFC, you meet some interesting people, especially when I was in Logan Home. There was, some very nice folk and there was some very nice, not nice folk. Essentially it was the night of my graduation. The night of my valedictory. So you got graduation at the start of the week, formal, and then on the Friday it was like your valedictory send-off. And I was in the drive-thru and this guy came up and he was all smiling and stuff like that. He wanted a popcorn chicken box. And he's like, oh, how's your night been? It's like, oh, yeah, really good. I actually just graduated high school. He's like, oh, no way. What are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I made something up. I was like, oh, because I had no desire to go to uni, but I was like,
right.
If at least back then, if you don't say you're going to uni, people are like, oh, you got no hope type thing. So I was like, oh, I think I'm going to study like sports science. I'm like, he's like, yeah, so good. I've got some sports scientist friends that I reckon I could introduce you to. Would you like my number? And I was like, yeah, why not? Because here's the thing: if I would have said no in that situation, there would have been so many, like the amount of ripple effect that came from me just simply saying yes to that.
Unbelievable.
Is just you just cannot comprehend.
Yeah.
If I wrote it down all on paper, right? But at that stage, when I was in the online group, and he's now gone on to be the most successful basketball trainer on the planet, right? Like all these people that bought into his company and stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
he that was my real exposure to personal development, because his main motto was become a person first before you become a player. So when I was like 15, 16, I was reading books like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Right?
I've heard of that one.
The 50th Law by 50 Cent, The Way of the Superior Man, The Four Agreements, all these high-level books that these literally only 50-year-olds read when they're really bored. I'm like 16, I'm like absorbing this knowledge and from one of the books, it was like, every moment is a new opportunity. And I was like, okay. I probably read that day. And so that's when I was like, this guy could have taken me to the car park and started beating me up, or take me on, you know what I mean? But he looks okay.
You took the risk.
Yeah, I took the risk. And so from then, it was a Monday night, and he took me to the Mansfield Tavern, and this is where they had this big meetup with all these professionals, and I was 17 at the time.
Wow.
All these other guys like 35, 40, they're all CEOs. They're all just there to connect and meet up in this networking group.
Yeah.
And, I was like, I think I showed up in shorts, and I was in like, really bad Kmart shoes and something like that. But I was really, made to feel welcome. And then from there, it sort of led me into my first sort of business venture, which was in a network marketing company. And that's what he was involved in, and didn't make any money. You know what I mean? Didn't make a sense.
Yeah.
But the amount of, the people I was surrounded by and what I learned from the personal development stuff like that. It was my first exposure to seminars, conferences, all when I just turned literally 18.
Amazing.
But if I didn't do that, if I didn't, rewind, if I didn't invest in that basketball training program in the initial beginning, I wouldn't have the seeds planted to be like, this would be a good opportunity. I would have said, nah, like I'm going to go party tonight. See you later. You know what I mean? Like I got a mate's birthday or whatever.
Yep. That's amazing.
And then literally the ripple effect from that did nothing there. But the next thing I then went into another company, right? And this was sort of before, in the middle of Iron Sharpens Iron starting up. And this was when first started being exposed to public speaking, because I was in a telecommunications company. And they wanted me to like sell mobile phones and internet plans and stuff like that. And this was the first exposure to, me being 19 and everyone saying, oh, you're going to be the best, you're going to be the top and everything like that. And, and I actually made some decent dosh there. But once again, it comes back to you got to realign, whenever you're in the middle of something doing well, is this sustainable moving forward?
Right.
And for both that business and for both the academy, that wasn't.
Why?
Well, this is where, where a lot of people can get stuck in pushing. And see, in that regard, I was pushing for more. So for the basketball academy, I was pushing more. I need to get overseas. Once I get overseas, then I'll go play semi-pro. For the telecommunications business, I was pushing, once I get more people on my team and once I speak more events, and I think at the end of the day, everything just comes back down to significance and seeing significance within yourself, right? I think that's why a lot of people, initially continue to push, even though to society's standards, they are quote unquote successful. It's to try and chase that significance. And in that way, it's actually can be classed as unhealthy.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So you felt like you were not, the motive wasn't.
No, it wasn't aligned with my values.
So it comes down to personal values.
Yeah.
So even at such a young age, because you're talking 16 to 19 here, you already had some solid values.
Yeah.
You defined for yourself.
I had a clear idea about what it was that I knew was correct in what, really resonated with me. And I knew what I really want to steer away from. So for example, I wasn't very much of the outgoing, going to parties and stuff like that type of things. You know what I mean? Even on schoolies, I was like flipping reading books. You know what I mean? Like it's different. So I subtly knew, but it wasn't something that, you write down on paper and you read it every single day, if that makes sense.
Have you always been wired that way?
I would say since the online basketball trainer.
So it was something that sparked it in you, but before then you wouldn't be reading as many books as you did, or?
I wouldn't say so, because for myself, and for a lot of people anyway, who really want something, they will literally accept whatever outcome, whatever process is necessary to get the outcome. So here, Taylor as my coach, if he told me to read books, I was going to read the books because he had the outcome that I wanted. Playing on the Canadian national team and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you saw something to aspire towards, and they kind of motivated you.
Yeah.
If I follow this footstep, I'll be in a good place.
Exactly. And then I saw the footsteps of the people who were sort of in that telecommunications company and where they were, and that didn't fulfill me whatsoever. Regardless of the Mercedes and the Maseratis, regardless of the Da Vinci suits and stuff like that. All that was cool.
Yeah.
But I think there's an extent, there's a level which each individual can get to where it's almost a level of contentment, and then it's a decision to go, all right, why am I pushing more? Is it for that ego gratification?
Yeah.
Or is it more so because of contribution?
So when you started Iron Sharpens Iron, I understand it was at the same time now that you were kind of doing
roughly.
the network.
I was trying to juggle both. So I was in the gym in the morning, training people and stuff like that. And then I really wanted to make this telecommunications thing work because, and this is what we spoke about the other day, it's sold to us through Instagram and through, I guess, funnels. Once you get to a certain point, you'll have income coming in on autopilot.
That's how I got started.
Yeah. And then
in my weird path of...
Yeah, exactly.
That allure, yeah.
So in 2019, you look at earlier last year, I should say, it was more around the drop shipping side of things.
Oh, yes.
And there was all, jump on Shopify before the ship sales type thing.
Did you do that? Did you do the e-commerce stuff?
I attempted to.
Yeah.
I think I paid like $1,000 for a course.
Yeah, same.
And he gave me like this manual, and I was like 300-page manual. I was like, what even is this?
So interesting. Yeah. So interesting because they sell the allure of the passive income. Like you just go sit on a beach while you're sleeping, the money's rolling in.
Yeah.
And then, but to what end? And yeah, exactly. So you found, and I found, it's just not satisfying.
No. Because even if you did get to that, you're always going to be wrestling to do something more.
That's right. I mean, that's for me as well. Like that's where I found the gap for me was that what's at the end of this? Like, what am I freeing the time up to do? Like, why am I freeing myself up to get the income for to do something of significance?
Well, it comes back down to feeling significant usually.
Yeah.
I find just on that subject, like, I think when it comes to conversations, especially with males, like I'm not going to say I'm an expert when it comes to the female brain, but just with males, obviously our dads and whatever other, male that's in our life, brothers, whatever the case may be, who's older, can be an influence. And I remember, I love both my uncle and my dad to bits. Remember when I was like 16 or so, I was like studying stuff, and Dad came home and he's like, "Oh, how's your day?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, really good." And one of the questions he asked me was, "How much money did you make?"
Oh.
And I obviously said 0. I didn't have a job back then. I think actually I was doing the paper route type thing.
Yeah.
But that in itself can drive someone to be significant in someone else's eyes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're always trying to chase that
approval,
tap on the back. You're always trying to chase that I'm proud of you. You're always trying to chase the next level. And, it's to no avail because you can't control the aspect which they're seeing your success from.
Even if you did hit. Yeah. Exactly.
Even if you did hit it. Because even if, I did, regardless if I make more than him or whatever KPIs he uses in his subconscious, it doesn't matter to him, nor should it then.
Yes.
So why should I then put that into my focal conscious mind?
Amazing. Because
that's just, once again, you're just going to hit that level, that threshold, and then you're going to get stuck because you're living in someone else's limiting beliefs.
That's amazing.
So if his financial thermostat was say like $100,000 a year,
and
I made like 95,
you're still.
I'm still shy of his approval. But if I made 105, what difference would that make?
It wouldn't make any difference at all. So good. But when you found that, when you understood that, I guess I'm understanding it helps you shift your focus towards what's now Inner Power Coaching.
Yeah. So this is and when you change, for me, like when I changed from the telecommunications company and when I changed from the basketball thing, it was all focused around me and focused around, how can I be in that spotlight? How can I be the one that's doing the talking and stuff like that? Yeah. And there was no, I'd do the talks and stuff, but I get off stage and being like, well, what was the thought behind that? You know what I mean? So I wanted to change it from going from me focus to then being able to build a tribe and build a community of like-minded people who shared unique values, which can then contribute to bettering their lives and the lives around the people. So yeah, Inner Power Coaching was really, I guess, formed when Zara and I sort of got together and just basically merged our businesses together to make the company.
Yeah.
And it's been an ever evolving process since. Because with Zara, we found each other through a different gym. Yeah. And that's how we sort of met. And the second when we met, we were like, all right, see you guys, and we're going to go do our own thing. And so she started a different gym in Brisbane because she was in Tamworth all the way up until 19. Yeah. So once again, one of those things where if I didn't take an opportunity to meet a certain individual from a Facebook ad, right, then we would never have met.
Wait, her Facebook ad?
So there was a particular individual who had a Facebook ad going.
Okay. Yep.
And both Zara and I saw the same Facebook ad.
Wow.
And that's how we connected.
So for those who are unaware, Zara's
the wife, but she's also the CEO. No. CEO of my life, not of the company.
And you met through a funnel.
We met through a funnel. We got funnel hacked.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thinking of it back then. Yeah, legit. So that's a whole different story in itself.
Oh, wow. I feel like actually this like it came to mind because you are working together and you have that relationship as husband and wife. How do you find the balance?
I think it's good. I think if you're ever going to be in a company together, you can't be both inclines of the same nature.
Yep.
So, for example, Zara's a lot more of the details. So if I say to her, hey, I reckon we should do an ebook, or I reckon we should do a recipe book or something like that, she will get the details together, be the one diligent, not leave that desk and get it done, right? Where I'm the one that I need to be doing 100 things at once to make sure that I'm somewhat being productive in different areas, but also while maintaining a grander vision for where we're progressing to. So if we were both the details people, then we're going to knock heads because I want that different word in that small paragraph in that small ebook type
right.
thing. You know what I mean? If we're both big visionaries, that's going to conflict even more because it's like, I want this thing over here. She's like, no, I want this thing over there. And then, so.
Yep. And so you complement each other really well.
We do. And that in itself, whether regardless of a marriage or even a business partnership, that's necessary.
It's like the only way it can work.
Yeah. Like I just, when you get those two big heads in the room who want the two big audacious goals and they're separate, that can be a recipe for massive success or massive disaster.
One way or the other. Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. I think if we get you on another podcast, we'll have to unpack that a lot more. Actually, it came to mind as
for sure.
An amazing topic. But you mentioned you both had your own businesses and you merged, became Inner Power Coaching. Now you guys are doing, at least from my perspective, you guys are doing really well, and I'm really inspired by what you're doing, how you've built this, and have a very strong vision. You've mentioned, is it reaching 100,000 lives over the next 5 years in Brisbane?
Indirectly.
Yeah. Now, what makes your approach in Inner Power Coaching in a world that, to me, I came into the fitness world in about 2011, and I feel like around that point, there was not that many supplement stores, there weren't that many gyms, and all of a sudden, I feel like it just took off and everyone got interested in this, I guess you could call it a fitness craze, but it's a good thing. But I feel like there's so many people who've tried to come in and do things, tried to start gyms, tried to start supplement companies, and a lot of them up and down, some of them still going, some adapted. But I also noticed there are a lot of personal trainers out there. But what makes or what has been your approach to stand out from this saturation?
Yeah, I think, on that, I think saturation is a good thing. I mean, if we look at, for example, say like the real estate industry, there's a real estate flipping on it. There's like 4 real estate companies on every street in every suburb. You know what I mean? Like, but I think there's always sort of like a level, like you've got sort of like 20% of people who are starting out at the bottom. Got another 20% of people who are literally like, you don't even understand how they're eating. You know what I mean? Like they're just hanging around.
Yeah.
You'll have roughly, 40% that are doing kind of mediocre and they're just happy coasting. And then you'll have the upper echelon and different selections up above that of people who are sort of trying to push the envelope in a way and like you said, be adaptable to what the market is demanding from them. So for us, I mean, at the end of the day, there's no, I always relate it back to when I'm speaking to someone new, like the milk ad where it's like, do you want high carb, low carb, low sugar? You know what I mean? Like, I just want milk that tastes like real milk.
Yeah.
When someone comes in and sees us, I mean, they just want results that are long-lasting results.
Right.
So the approach that we make, at the end of the day, it's all biologically,
the same.
It's the same in a way. I mean, a particular person to get to drop 10 kilos, there are several different ways you could get to that same outcome.
Right.
But that's the most important thing, is to make sure that that's on an individualized basis. Now, let's say 50% of trainers out there aren't cookie cutters, for example. So 50% of them out there don't prescribe the same program for someone who is 50 years old, wants to lose weight, versus 20 years old, wants to lose weight.
Yep.
2 different worlds. You know what I mean? So from there, I think we've got sort of 5 pillars that we look at first when we're initially seeing someone. So first one is they must become pain-free. So that's the first thing. So when people say, oh, I'm not really sure what my goals are, I just want to lose weight. Okay, well, that's way down the line, right? Mm. The first thing we got to do is understand you got to be pain-free, because if you're not pain-free, what's the point in doing anything? It's going to better your lifestyle overall if you are pain-free.
Yeah.
The second thing we look at is making sure your core and your posture are both adequate. So when the core and the posture is both adequate, then every day is a lot easier, right? Third is going to be more into our imbalances. So if you split a human being down the middle, especially if they're of an older demographic or if they've played sport, sport is the most horrible thing for the body.
That's amazing.
Because just picture a cricketer bowling the ball right now and how much imbalance comes from, one side of the ball throwing to versus one side of the ball, one side of your leg hitting the floor type thing.
Yeah.
Basketball, lifting only off of one foot to do a layup.
Yeah.
The imbalance is there, huge.
Yeah.
But we got to correct that. And then, what am I to? Fourth?
Yeah, 4.
Fourth is our compound lift, squat, bench press, deadlift, that sort of stuff. Making sure we have now some sort of metric to track.
Yeah.
Okay. And then fifth, that's when we get into, I guess, okay, we want to lose weight now. What metric do we utilize? Is it just because scales will always never tell the full story? So do we do in-body scans? Do we do our circumferences? Do we focus solely on just the compound lifts itself?
Yeah.
What sort of testing is involved? So I think to answer the question in a short manner, going through those necessary applicable steps, make sure that individual feels like they're cared for, that they are understood, and that they know that what you are delivering is world-class, because you're literally taking them through different steps and stages. Because here's the thing, people love to be led, right? They're either going to be leading you or, they want to be led themselves. And so when you show up with certainty of what exactly you're going to do, right, and you map it out for them, they then start to get a grander vision and they start to adapt to this environment of progress, especially if you have someone of an older demographic. They might be married for 30 years, they might be in the same career for 30 years. So they don't necessarily see progress on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, yeah.
So potentially when they come in and see me 2 to 3 times a week or see one of our staff, that is their only aspect in the life which they see progress. Right?
It's mind-blowing.
Exactly. So that's the only aspect that they see it. So long as we deliver on that progress, that's how we retain, and that's how we continue to get better results moving forward.
And you have had a wealth of really good results and a wealth of, I've been working on some of your testimonial videos, and they're all, they've got nothing but good things to say.
I appreciate that.
Do you find that, how do you now in this, I guess, how long have you been running in a pouch coaching for?
We did it since we got married. So that would have been a registered company probably since around September 2018.
Okay, but before then, for a couple of years.
Before then, we're our own 3 years separate. Our own team. Yep.
So did you find that I think you've mentioned it to me as social proof before as one of the most valuable ways to attract clients in your business? Like how have you implemented that? Have you even gotten the word out from when you started to now? Like how have you been?
Well, I remember even back when I was first started with Iron Sharpens Iron, I had a tripod with like this 2005 camera and I was filming outside the gym and the quality was shocking. But, it sort of always made sense because what's the first thing that you do before you buy a vacuum cleaner? You always look at the reviews.
Yeah.
If someone has told you that you trust or Sally and Julie walk into the same coffee shop.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, I got this vacuum cleaner the other day. Oh, I was thinking of getting this vacuum cleaner. No, I got this one. You should get this one. They're going to go to that one because their word trumps whatever any other review says because they're a trusted source. So when I see a social proof, when I see an individual, they have a network of it could be 50 people, it could be 100. I train a lot of CEOs and doctors. That's a lot of people that they're exposed to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in that respect, when I'm talking to someone who's in a familiar position, so whether it be someone who's in their mid-50s, who's a female, who's wanting to drop body fat, I will show a testimonial of this individual. Per se, I'll send it to them and be like, look, this individual is in the exact same shoes as you. This is where she's come out of. This is where she is now. This is where she's progressing.
Yeah.
And they see that and suddenly, okay, it's not just him,
saying stuff.
Yeah, just running his mouth and having a big head. It's actually someone else's way. And literally your words is like 10%.
Yeah.
The other 90% is someone else's testimonial.
100%.
All right. So even if you're doing things for free, what's more valuable than you getting paid for that service is getting that testimonial, because only then that will open up to so much more. That's marketing done on autopilot right there.
And the only way to get that is as well as if you've taken care of them and given them a good experience.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. The amount of times where we'll talk in a second about, I guess, business principles, but I had no idea about how to do marketing or sales or anything like that when I first started. Only thing I really did was just film the testimonials on my little iPhone 4 or my 2005 camera, package them up on Windows Movie Maker, and then just do consults for free, right? And then I'll do the same thing again. So I'd do the consult for free, all right? They wouldn't pay me a cent, but I would just say, hey, look, based upon your experience today, how would you rate me? What sort of things did you learn? What did we achieve? That sort of stuff. Package that up. At the end of the day, people just need to see your name and they need to see other people's reputation attached to that. And then once they do that, then
to do the math.
Exactly. It's just consciously and subconsciously. Subconsciously it makes sense. This guy's, reputable in the business.
Yeah.
Consciously it's like, all right, if I'm ever going to need this in my life journey, this is the first thing they're going to go to because you're front of mind.
Amazing. But that's it's taken a couple years, isn't it? Hasn't it been? It's been
it will never happen overnight. Some of the testimonials that we first did, those people have been training with me now for about 3 years. Some of them upward to 3 years.
Yeah, I did notice that.
So, it definitely isn't something which you can just, testimonials that are emotional and that will make you cry and stuff like that. That takes a lot of building relationships, a lot of trust and all that sort of stuff. But there's nothing stopping an individual, a sole trader or even a company from starting to just every person, every interaction they have, if it's a great person, and they have, they really appreciate your service, just get it recorded on camera.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah. And
Do
that's
it,
why
guys. Get it on
Contact
video.
Brad Fox, yeah.
Make content. Yeah. Shameless plug, guys.
04, you know what?
Yeah, 372433303. But man, I really want to unpack. I really feel like we need to get you back in on another podcast to talk about some of these really specific business things, because I feel like you have a lot of value to share. But if we were to boil it down just for this podcast, this very one, if you had something, or let me rephrase that, if someone came to you saying, hey, Blake, I'm looking at starting this business, I'm looking at getting into business, in a really quick amount of time, what would you say to them?
I don't think I would say anything. I'd probably ask them a question. It's like, what do you actually think business is like? And based upon their response, I will understand what the maturity levels are actually at.
Yeah.
And I think that's the boat that we were in when we were trying to chase that laptop lifestyle.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Dude, when I was 19, I invested in this super high-end program because they sold you the dream and everything like that, and I made zero.
I lost money, dude.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I lost so much. But you can only, when you're on the other side, that's when you can laugh about it. It's not that funny when you're doing it. But
Nope.
so I would ask them, the first question I'd ask them is, what do you think it's like? And then if they tell me, oh, it's going to be great, like, I'll be able to wake up when I want, and I'll be able to do this and go on holidays and stuff like that, I'll be like, you're just not ready, okay? Like, you're just not. The second thing I would ask is, who is your mentor? And if they say no one, then I'm like, man, you got to start from square one, right? Like, you got to get a realistic view of what it's actually going to be like, because this is an emotional game. Like, I remember when I was 17, this is pretty full on, but, one of the speakers at the conferences asked, business includes the 3 Ds. And everyone's like, can you guess the 3 Ds? Death, depression, and divorce, right? Because the amount of emotional investment that takes to maintain a successful company, especially in the starting phases, after probably around 3-4 years, you'll get into sort of a maintenance phase and progress slower. But, there's even a guy that I follow online, and I have been for about 10 years, and he's recently just gone backwards, right? About 500, but he was driving his Lambo everywhere and stuff like that. And, so the business will always go in phases. So you got to make sure you take the calculated risk, but you also understand that you're putting your emotions, your integrity, you're putting all the things that people don't see on the surface on the line. And so if you don't make sure that you're prepared for that, you're going to be on a slippery slope. Okay. And the third thing I would say is, what is the vision? So I usually, people always say have like a 50-year vision or something like that. I start with 2, then a 3, then a 5. I think that's all you need. You can't do a lot in a year, but you'll get far. But 2 years is pretty good. 24 months alleviates a lot of pressure from you having to get stuff done yesterday. So the 2 years, 3 years, because once you get to that 2-year mark, you're going to have a massive spike because you just want to, this is successful. We did something. Let's go to the next level. And then overall, sort of, okay, what am I waking up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. to do every single day?
Yep.
If they can't answer those questions, they got to go back to the drawing board.
Yep.
Right. Because too many people jump into it blindly, and I think there's too much resources now to be that negligent to not do your prior research, to save yourself from actually going through that despair or that heartache or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Even if you only lose a couple of grand within a couple of years, it's still something you're not used to doing. If you're only used to being a full-time employee, you don't have to worry about overheads. You don't have to worry about, where's everything coming from and the ins and outs and everything like that. But to the entrepreneur now, Jack Delosa, who's probably Australia's leading coaching, guru. Yeah. He separates business into 5 categories. So he's got marketing, sales, delivery, operations, and finance. Okay. If you focus on your business like with those 5 traits and just categorize each of them, then it makes it a lot more simple in your brain. The first thing you got to do before you start a business, you got to know how to market. All right. How do people know your name? So whether that be, through referrals, whether it be through obviously having a space like the gym floor and stuff like that, testimonials. How do you do sales? So what is your ascension model? What is your pricing structure? What is it that you're going to be able to put on the table and say, this is, my starting offer and this is my complete remarkable solution, going from absolute entry level to, a $3 to $10,000 product. You know what I mean? And then how are we going to deliver it? How are you going to make it the best in the city that you're in? And what inclusions are you going to put in? What people are you going to get on board? Are you going to run seminars? Are you going to do retreats? Are you going to do a quarterly workshop? How are you going to create community through that? And then it's more, okay, we're going to start to hire people. All right, when we hire people, are they going to be part-time, full-time? What incentives do we give to them to make sure they maintain productivity? How do we make sure that we still make, a margin on that particular staff member, and to keep the blood flowing, if that makes sense. And then finance, it's like where, the Bill Gates and everyone else, will find themselves with the fact, all right, now I've got through my businesses, I've got this cash flow. Now, where do I put it to be able to multiply that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that to me is how I've always looked at business over the last couple of years. And it's really simplified the process of how to progress.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just get started at the delivery. A lot of people get stopped at the delivery because you can't always be a one-man band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you don't go from delivery to operations, you're going to burn out. And that's the hard lesson I learned ages ago.
Amazing.
Yeah.
5 points. I'm going to have to dive into
Pick your
those
brain.
again myself. Yeah, pick your brain on. Oh, man. Such a valuable conversation today, Blake.
Appreciate it.
Inner power coaching, personal training coach, and I'm sure future business coach by the sounds of it.
Oh, who knows?
Mate, I've enjoyed.
Future smack talker. Current smack talker.
Current smack talker. Hey, it sounds good. Hey, I thought I'd end off before we close this off. I'd hit you with a couple of quick questions and just don't think too hard. Just
All right.
whatever comes to mind, let me know. So, cardio or weights?
Weights.
Yeah. What's your favorite weight exercise?
Ooh, I would say a seated row. I love a good row.
That's so specific.
Yeah. Straightens up your posture. You feel like a beast. Got a nice V back. That's what I like.
All right. Love it. Favorite social media platform right now?
Instagram. Yeah.
Favorite creator on Instagram or person to follow?
That's a good one. I mean, I just look out for your posts and then I'm pretty happy. I'm satisfied.
I'm flattered.
I don't follow anyone specific. I think everyone will follow. Like if you're into fitness, you'll probably follow like 50 fitness influencers. If you're into business, you'll follow like 50 business influencers. So I can't say anyone.
Scroll through.
Yeah.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, the next one, what book / YouTube channel / podcast would you recommend the most right now? Just one.
I think everyone should always start with the power of now, because when you can get that leveled within your own psyche, like your own psychology, and understanding that there is nothing outside of this present moment right here.
Yeah.
That's when your connections will go through the roof. That's when your anxiety will calm down. That's when everything else will start to make sense.
Right.
So it's a book. It's quite a heavily spiritual based book. He doesn't prescribe to any sort of specific religion or whatever the case may be, but he definitely dives deep into, I guess, what could be considered jargon to a certain individual, but to someone who is, I guess, going through, that sort of anxious state, or going through the brain's just always on, the 1,000 things going in there at once. This one really levels you out and make sure you understand the only thing that's here is
what
the
you
now.
deal with. Right.
It's now. Like literally me feeling this table is the only thing that matters right now, because everything else, what happened for lunch or what I had for lunch versus what I'm doing to Savo, is basically an illusion.
So
Think about that for a second.
Yeah, I did. Power of Now by, who's the author?
Eckhart Tolle.
I've heard
He's
about
voted the #1 most spiritual guy, just under Gandhi. So,
Interesting. I'll definitely check it out.
Check it
for
out.
sure. All right. What's your most important passion outside of your main gig right now?
I'd say making sure I maintain time for Zara. I think that's probably the most important thing.
Great answer.
Yeah, I think that one will keep me in the clear for a while now. That's good. Brownie points there.
Awesome.
But no, it's super important, especially with a spouse in the same industry, to make sure that, you know, there's definitely times where we're in the same room, but we're both tapping away and we're both focused and dialed in, earphones in, and we're not even, it could be like she's not even there. So it's important to make sure that we take that time, like to obviously take a time for ourselves outside of work, but also make sure we take our time together. Road trips, beach trips, that sort of stuff.
That's good, man. That's good. If you had unlimited time and money, what's one crazy idea or project you'd like to do right now?
That's a really good question. I reckon I would love to bring athletes to Australia. I think Australia is very overlooked. So I'd love to bring athletes to here, not to play, but to more so talk about their journey.
Okay.
I'd love to have, like, you know, someone like LeBron James at All Phones Arena in Sydney, just talking about, okay, I'm 18 years old. I just signed a $100 million Nike deal. What was I doing? What did I do? What did I feel? And that's sort of experience. You know what I mean?
That's great. Yeah.
And you just get a room full of entrepreneurs that all just, you know, like-minded, and just athlete after athlete after athlete, because, you know, athletes are so scrutinized in the media.
Yeah.
Right. But they all have a story to tell behind that, of how they got to there, how they maintain that success, how they maintain family lives. Now, there's obviously plenty of athletes out there that don't maintain that healthily. You know,
it might be good to hear some of that too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's a great idea.
That's Australia's like always. I mean, probably people in London probably say, yeah, London's always overlooked. It's always LA and New York. But you know, we got better weather, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Bring it to Brisbane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last one on the lightning round. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Plant a seed today, and it will flourish tomorrow. I think that's probably the most important. Like I said, like, if I didn't take that opportunity when I was 17, I would. There's no way I would be where I am right now. But those seeds that I planted along the way, literally everything will just progress you to the next stage, not necessarily the next level. Like, I think we're always fixated on, I got to level up, I got to get the next car, move into the better house, buy the house, use the equity to buy more properties, and then just sit on the island and be behind my laptop, right? But no, it's rather than looking at life as different levels and being depressed until you get to that level, and then being even more depressed when you are at that level, being more like, you know, we're just in an element of progression. And once we continue to progress, and every day is an element of progression where you're planting seeds for your future.
Awesome. What a great nugget that was. I'm going to take that one away now and
digest those nuggets.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time today, Blake.
This is great.
Where can our audience find you?
So our company's located in Carina, which is 7 km from the CBD in Brisbane, and then in Spring Hill, which is in the CBD. So those two locations, you'll find myself or Zara in there.
Awesome. And if they wanted to go online, where could they find you as well?
At Inner Power Coaching AUS, ipcfitness.net, and just hit me up at Blake Randall in the DM.
Slide into Blake's DMs. You heard it here first, guys. Thanks so much, Blake. I appreciate the time you've taken out today to join me here.
Pleasure.
And I'm sure everyone's going to get something from this.
I hope so.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if it's on YouTube. If it's on Facebook, give it a love heart and share it with everyone. Comment down below if you had a great takeaway, and make sure to follow Blake and Zara on their socials online. And that's it for today's episode, and we'll see you guys and girls on the next one. Have a great day, and Fox is out.